Fingerprints are the evidence that is left behind from human involvement. The fingerprints of God is no different. It is the evidence of the Lord's working in our lives. And if we slow down and look at the evidence of His presence, we can remember how much His involvement has impacted us, not only this last year, but for our entire lives. And as we take a moment to discover the Lord's fingerprints on TAC, we know His presence has been among us. So let's remember.
One way that I saw the fingerprints of God this last year is when I was a missionary in Papua New Guinea. I saw God move a lot during the time, but what spoke to me most is when I contracted malaria. I got super sick. I was sick for about 4 weeks. I was physically on death's door. It was affecting my breathing. It was closing my lungs. I was passing out, collapsing. It was just really bad. I wasn't able to walk. And I was very close to not coming back home. And I was lying in bed, and I thought to myself that I'm never gonna leave. I'm never gonna get out here. I'm gonna die here. And it was just like a dark moment. And I just felt just overwhelming peace and calm. And I just felt like, I don't know if it's God saying this, but I just felt like it's okay. Like no matter what happens, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna work out. And that I don't need to worry about it. And I didn't. Everything was taken care of for me. And my dad and sister flew out to Australia to try to get me, but they didn't have a PNG visa. It was a mess trying to get over there. And I got onto a plane somehow, and I started flying, and as soon as I cleared the PNG airspace, I could literally feel my lungs open up. I was able to take a breath, I was able to eat, I was able to stand, I was able to walk. And I was still super tired and still super nauseated and stuff like that, but the Lord healed me that day, and I was able to get back home and rest. Realize that there's a bigger picture and I'm just a piece. I can see the bright side of it because it's God's sovereignty. I knew that I was gonna be okay. I did think at one point that I was gonna die, but ultimately I surrendered that to God, and I was okay with that because ultimately if I die, then that's what He wanted. Like, it's His sovereignty, it's His will, and you have to surrender to that. And that's how I saw the fingerprints of God this year.
I really saw the fingerprint of God this year when my brother contracted malaria and he needed a rescue mission. My dad and I went to Papua New Guinea, and it was so frightening because he was told that he could potentially die. And because it was so scary, my dad and I decided to fly down to Australia to pick him up because he was too ill to fly home. And during that time, I felt such peace from God that I've never experienced before. It was supernatural. At a time when we should have been so anxious and frightened and fearful, I felt so at peace that I knew it was only from God. He ended up healing my brother, and we were able to take him home safely, and I'll never forget the peace that I felt from God.